I'm thrown off a little bit that Ken Fisher is the chairman and the CEO of the Fisher House Foundation for service members, veterans, and their families. Now, why do we need to show our support for veterans beyond Veterans Day?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that the men and women that wear the uniform or have worn the uniform have made sacrifices and bear burdens that the average American will never understand, Valder. And behind every one of these men and women is a family that also bears burdens and makes sacrifices that the average American will never understand. So we need to honor these sacrifices that have been made on our behalf, but also we need to remember that while we've just come out of the longest war that this country's ever fought, that there are still men and women that are suffering at home with the unseen wounds of war, post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. We need to make sure that these men and women come forward to receive the treatment that is available. And the way we can do that is by holding our public officials accountable and making these issues relevant every day, not just at election time.
Ken, we were having a conversation about you coming on, and one of the things an audience member said in a post I thought was worth sharing with you. They say today's generation, or today's people in general, they only know about veterans being homeless because that's what they see on the news. If you don't live in a town where there's an army base, you don't usually see military people. How do you change that understanding? I thought that was worth sharing with you.
And I appreciate that because they are absolutely correct. But this is the way it is, essentially across the board, for all issues, is that we're only aware of that which we can see. And I think the most important thing to remember is that it's not just about homeless veterans, because one homeless veteran is one homeless veteran too many. But understand that there are issues that affect our veterans today that transcend, politics, that transcend, what we know and what we don't know. We have to remember that veterans issues are, because we're not fighting a war right now. It's not on the front pages of our newspaper. I'm sorry, Valder, is the dog bothering?
No, it does not bother me, man. It probably entertains my audience.
Good, okay. But we need to remember that the sacrifices, that are made every day are made and on an ongoing basis. And if we don't take the time to learn and understand veterans issues, and the way to do that is, for starters, you can go to our website. You can educate yourself on these issues because, we can sit back and point out problems, and we can point out that which is what we hear, or that's which we can see, which is a homeless veteran on the street. We don't understand, what their families have been through. We don't understand why the veteran is homeless. Is it because of a psychological wound, or is it something else? So we can be proactive as a nation, not just on Veterans Day, by learning more about what veterans face. And there's plenty of information on the web right now that can educate you. But I think that's one of the issues is, we only focus on that which we can see.
When you have a Fisher House, you have multiple Fisher Houses from what I understand. What can take place in a Fisher House?
Valdor, it's probably the what I call the brick and mortar that holds these houses together, is the fact that each house becomes its own community, that family members in the now 93 Fisher Houses around the world, each one, they all function the same way. It's really an amazing thing, is that the houses now have grown to 16,000 feet, so they can be as much as 20 rooms. You can put a lot of different family members under one roof. And, we were a little bit concerned as we grew the size of the houses as to what would happen. when you put that many family members under stressful situations together. And what we found is been consistent through all 93 houses and there's soon to be 100 and more, is that these families support each other. And they share the joy of the good days and the sorrow of the bad, because not every story has a happy ending. But I think the most important thing to remember is the fact that these families need to heal as well. And they have experience that only they know, that only they can communicate. And by being together and being able to support each other and talking about these issues, I think has been invaluable, not just because we provide the roof over their head, but because we've allowed the families to heal as well.
Tell me, what is your payoff for being connected and the creator of the Fisher House?
Well, it was founded by my late uncle, Zach Fisher, 32 years ago. So I'm just basically continuing his legacy, but it has become a passion. I will not deny that. You know, it's been a very fulfilling kind of a thing for me, because I can think of no better way to give back to this nation than by supporting those who defend our freedom that we take for granted. And I think it's important for us to remember that as well. That
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, how do we support them? And I hear your passion, and I see your passion manifested.
Yeah.
How do we as ordinary people, especially, I come from a military family, but outside of that, people don't understand the military. So how do we get people to come on and be supportive of this? Because this country would not stand without the military.
Yes, that's true. And we are not only defenders of freedom, but also global first responders. Let's not forget that as well. That's what makes this country great. And I think, you know, one of the ways that we can educate is by those who are veterans, you know, by especially somebody like you, Valdor, who could make, you know, it could devote shows towards veterans issues and how people can help. The more we can get the word out there, the wider our reach will be. And, you know, so I think it starts with veterans and listening to a veteran or asking a veteran a question. Whenever I run into a veteran somewhere, I always ask that veteran a question. You know, what was it like for you? Or what was it like being away from your family? Or what was it like, you know, on that cold winter night, you know, being out there with your life on the line. So, you know, as I said to you, that you know, it's difficult to educate, you know, on issues where there's not commonality of experience, which is why we need, you know, those of us who are advocates for veterans and those of us who are veterans, you know, talk a little bit about what your experience has been and help educate men and women, especially, you know, about those who are still suffering in silence, as I said before, with the unseen wounds, and hold our public officials accountable towards keeping veterans issues in the forefront, not just talking about them at election time and then burying them, you know, back at the end of the line again, which happens too often. So I think the more that we can educate America and hold our public officials accountable, I think the better off we're going to be, because they can keep these issues in the forefront as well.
As someone who would want to support the Fisher Houses, who believe in the mission already, or new people who come on board and after hearing you on my show and they think it's a great idea, how do they make a difference?
Well, first start by going to our website, which is fisherhouse.org. One of the things that you're going to learn about us is that we've gotten 18 consecutive A+ ratings from the Charity Watchdog Group. So we honor every dollar that is donated to us, which is important. You're going to learn that 430,000 family members have already passed through our doors, and we've saved these families almost $547 million in travel and lodging. But I think the most important thing is that we've taken the burden off of these families, the financial burden, that is, especially at their most stressful time when they need the help the most. And a veteran is never going to ask you for help. nor should they ever have to. So, it's up to us, to remember them on Veterans Day and, learn a little bit any way you can. There's so much information available today. Be proactive. And I think that will go a long way towards making a difference in their lives.
I want to remind my audience that the Fisher House Foundation, they're best known for their comfort homes where military and veteran families can stay free of charge while a loved one is in the hospital. These houses are usually located at our military or VA centers around the world. So, Once again, where do they go online, Ken?
FisherHouse.org, Valdor, will point you in the direction. It will tell you how you can support us. It will also educate you a little bit on the plight of the military family. So visit the website and get involved, whether it's with us or through other foundations or other ways. There's always going to be unmet needs. We're never going to be able to rely on our government to solve every problem that we have, which is why it's up to us as Americans, especially in veterans issues, to try and make a difference, not only in their lives, by bridging these unmet needs.
Ken Fisher, this has been so beneficial, taking the time to talk with you. I salute you for what you do and the work you're carrying on for your great uncle. And thanks for being my guest always on the Valdor Beebe Show.
It was great to be with you again. Thank you for your service. And to all veterans and our military out there, thank you for your service, and we support you.
We support you. This is what makes America wonderful. Thank you so much, Ken Fisher.
Thank you, Valdor.
I'm Valdor Beebe. I broadcast on radio, streaming TV, podcast, and in print publications. I interview the world's most fascinating authors, all because I love a good book. This summer, I partnered with WPS for BB's Summer Book Giveaway. We're giving away New York Times bestsellers and award-winning books. Books that inspire me, and I'm sure they'll inspire you. To be eligible to win a copy of Jesus Can Give You a New Life, answer this question. What is God's greatest gift to mankind? You'll find the answer in John 3:16 of the Bible. Send your response to the email at the bottom of the screen. I'm Valdor Beebe, and I'll see you for the next Beebe Summer Book Giveaway.